Welcome back to The Kitchen's My Foodie. It's your host, Patricia Kutsia. Today in the kitchen, we have a very special guest. We have someone who has been featured in our yearly, or should I say annually, Career Focus edition. He's part of the agricultural sector and he's here to tell us more about what it takes to make a success in the industry. But before we dive into all of that, we just want to take a moment to thank Kitchen 82 for hosting us and thank Metro Fresh for sponsoring this episode.
Ek is Zoe Karsten, die aanbieder van Blitsfokus. Jy kan Blitsfokus kyk elke Woensdag op DStv kanaal 285 of GoTV kanaal 25. En onthou, jy kan ook Blitsfokus kyk op oneup2.com.
And we're back, and as I promised, in the kitchen with me today, we have someone that was profiled in this year's Career Focus Guide. So put your hands together, everyone, and get ready to welcome into the kitchen, Meneer Owen van Roy.
Hello Patricia.
Hi Owen, welcome to my kitchen.
Thank you. I feel very welcome.
Well, I am super excited to dive into what we're going to make today. Our family out there already know that I am simply your assistant today. You are in charge of what's happening here. But before we dive into what we're going to be making, can you just give a brief introduction of who you are so that our viewers can get to know you?
Okay, well, my name is Owen van Roy and I studied at the University of Science and Technology. I did my Bachelor of Science degree in horticulture. I'm a farm boy and I'm currently doing my Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, specializing in agribusiness, honors
Okay, you're
degree.
quite the busybody, I can see. So before we dive into getting to know your farm life better, your study life, what is it that we're going to be making today?
Well, we're gonna be making a quick and easy, but also my favorite meal, a chicken wrap.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I see a lot of veggies. We're behind the screens chopping everything up so we can get ready for you guys. So, but before we do continue, I did mention earlier that you were featured in our Career Focus Guide this year.
Yes.
You were featured as a crop farmer.
Yes.
I'm sure we all have an idea of what it is that a crop farmer is, but can you specify what exactly it is that you do as a crop farmer?
Well, at Plats and Produce, we focus on horticultural crops. So our tomatoes, spinach, watermelon. It's almost watermelon season.
Almost that time, guys.
Watermelon, we did some squash before, pumpkins, but our main focus is cash crops such as your cabbage and your tomatoes.
Okay, great. You can never get to have too many tomatoes, and I love the fact that the watermelon season is around the corner and we can all just enjoy some really delicious watermelons. Okay, so before we talk too much and get into this, why don't we start chopping? What do you want to do first? What's the first step into getting ready for this?
So first, let's chop up the chicken.
Of course. I'm going to let you do that.
Okay. I'm not good at taking off the plastic.
Okay, let me assist you there. Right, and for this dish, we specifically need the chicken breast, right?
Yes, a lot of people like using the chicken thigh because they say chicken breast is a drier meat. However, I like the chicken breast.
Okay.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to chop it into strips. Let's first halve the chicken, just to make slicing a bit easier. We don't want super thin strips, but we also don't want thick strips.
Okay. So is this a recipe that you just cooked up on yourself? Is it a night of YouTube searches or a family recipe?
When I make food, I like to experiment. So I don't look at any recipes. I do sometimes look at YouTube just for some inspiration. But then when it comes to the spicing and things, I'd like just to play around with what's in the kitchen.
Okay, that's good. They say in the kitchen it's a free place and like a safe place to explore with your ingredients, right?
Yes, yes, definitely.
So you mentioned earlier that your business is called Platsan Produce.
Yes, Plats and
Can you
Produce.
tell us a little bit more on the history of Platsan Produce? Has it always been centered around the horticultural aspect, or was there a time where you maybe experimented or delved into different aspects of agriculture?
Well, first I started with livestock production, so some cattle and some goats. However, my passion has always been, well, they say that I had green fingers, so my passion has always been crop farming. It started off with some herbs and tomatoes that I supplied to restaurants and so on, very small. This was still when I was doing my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
But as it went on, I've learned some things. I've changed my cropping commodity that I plant, and you see what works and what doesn't work, and you just move on from there. So
A great example of you need to just document everything you do so you can look back and see what you can do differently with the
Yes.
next step. So, Owen, I did a little bit of research, and I also know that before you decided to delve into agriculture, horticulture more specifically, you attempted or you tried to navigate the waters of being an engineer.
Yes.
Can you
yes.
just tell us more about what finally gave you that courage or that push to decide, or after so many years being an engineering student, I'm going to go for what I really want?
I really liked engineering. It was challenging, but I liked it. However, when I would have to study for test examinations, I would be on YouTube looking at farming videos, and when, or I like saying this, I'd skip class to go to the farm, or
Don't do that, guys.
don't skip class, guys. I'd skip class to go to the farm, and I've always wanted to do something in farming. And my if I finished my engineering, I would have done agricultural mechanical engineering.
Okay.
So I would have eventually went into the agricultural field, more specifically into the irrigation side of things, but as an engineer.
Yeah.
However, I realized that I like the planting side of things. I like the science, the biology behind farming. So I decided, no, you know what? It's actually, to be very honest, I wanted to stop engineering a bit sooner, but people said just keep on going and
Yeah, just
follow
push.
your heart, people. If you feel that you have to do something else, just follow your heart.
Yeah, your calling is your calling. For how many years were you actually doing engineering before you decided that it's time?
I was doing engineering. I did engineering for 3 years,
True.
so a very long time.
And to
Almost-
complete the course, you need about 4 years?
You need, mechanical engineering takes about 4.5 years. However, I was dragging some subjects, so I was technically my third year, but
With some
with some
second
second
year
years, yeah.
subjects.
Yes.
Okay, well, it was quite brave of you to take that leap and to decide, well, I'm going to move on to this, what I really, really want. So before we go on a quick break, I just have one more question for you.
Ask away.
Making that big change doesn't just affect you, it affects the people around you.
Yes.
What was your support like, the advice you got when you finally decided to tell your parents or your friends, listen, after 3 years, I really want to do this instead. I want to start over.
There were mixed emotions, if I have to be honest. Excuse me. The people didn't want to see me stop engineering, but they understood that farming was my passion. So that's why it took 3 years. I didn't, after my first and second year, I didn't just want to stop just off of, what they
A
call
whim,
yeah. So I had to make perfectly sure that agriculture is what I want to go into. They were very supportive once I made that decision.
Yeah.
But in the process of making the decision, they told me just finish your engineering degree, but I didn't.
Well, aren't you
didn't see the
happy
point.
that you followed your heart? Because
I'm-
right now
yes.
you're doing something that where your passion really lies.
I'm very happy, and the engineering wasn't a waste. There was a lot of character building within the engineering. There's a lot of engineering concepts that I currently use on the farm, in the irrigation, in setting up certain things, in pump selection. So, yes.
Well, that is pretty cool to hear. Well, viewers, we will be right back after this. Me and Owen are just going to fry up our chicken and saute a few of the onions and green pepper that we chopped up earlier. But do not move away from your seats. We will be right back after this short break.
Another voting thing. Really, every day it's just voting, voting. Like, what is actually voting? Like, why should I actually vote? Like, what is actually? Do I really want to vote? Maybe I should vote, but like, what? Let me go see who can I go ask. Cause, yeah, voting.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I have a question.
What's up?
So every day I'm just seeing voting, like vote, guys, go register. Now I'm just like, what is voting actually? Like, why should I vote? Like as a young
Right?
person.
That's such like a legitimate question to ask because like we really do be wondering why should we vote?
It's so important. Voting is so important as part of a democracy. You choosing your future leaders, you choosing which party that you want to choose that are going to lead you into the future. And it's so important for us as youth because it affects us the most. The people that are leading us, people that are taking us into the future. These are the decisions that we need to make because they are going to be part of the lawmakers. They are going to be part of the people that decide essentially how our country looks like. So it's up to us to decide what we want to choose, which party that we want to choose, why we should vote.
You know, now that you explained it like that, I'm totally gonna register.
Right?
Because I saw this article about voting, but I'm just like, it's it.
We gotta vote, girl. We gotta vote. We might as well go now.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go.
We should like go plan. Like, sort it out. Totally. Yeah.
Okay, so now we've just finished, sauteing what we need to saute. We made our chicken. We're about to compile our wrap and wrap it up. I have to say that. But before we do, can you tell our viewers what exactly you did with our chicken breast?
Okay, so firstly we started with just sauteing the onions and the
Green pepper?
garlic and the garlic.
Oh, yeah, yes, sorry.
Yes, and we added some curry powder. We let that just cook and activate for a minute, and then we added our chicken, which we pre-spiced with chicken spice. And then we let that cook down a little bit, let it steam a little bit, and then we added our red pepper and our green pepper.
Okay, great. So what is the first step into making a chicken wrap?
Okay, so in compiling the wrap,
Yes, in compiling it.
first you want to add your sauce, whichever sauce you make.
What exactly did you decide to make in the sauce? Guys, look at this. This is a
So-
nice creamy sauce.
This is a sour cream base. So it's basically sour cream, some mayonnaise, some chili flakes, some black pepper, a pinch of salt, and some chives. And then you just mix it well. Yes, and some lemon.
Okay, well, you go first. Show me how it's done.
So what you want to do is take a generous helping and then spread it in the center, not on the edges, just in the center of your wrap.
Okay.
And this is to taste.
Now let's see if I can follow basic instructions. In the center,
Yes, to taste however much you want,
however much I want. Okay,
Yeah.
let's put another helping there. Is that perfect? Fine.
Yes, not too much so that when we fold the
it
wrap,
doesn't. Okay, what's the next
come
step?
out. And now we just add some of our chicken.
I had a bit of the chicken off screen, guys. The seasoning, very generous. I liked it.
So some chicken.
What can you throw into the chicken? You can just go wild with it.
The chicken is all to taste. So however you make your chicken strips. We used red onion instead of the traditional yellow onion this time, just because it is a bit sweeter to break the soury taste of the
That makes
base
sense.
of the sauce. And let's try and get some red peppers as well.
So while we're compiling this, Owen, can you tell our viewers out there Of course, no matter what career path you choose to follow, you will come across a few challenges, obstacles in your
Yes,
way.
definitely.
Specifically on your journey as a crop farmer, what are some of the challenges or obstacles that you had to face?
Well, you always plan your cropping calendar and your cropping cycle. However, the plan almost never goes as you want it to go or as forecasted. So the challenges that you face are pest and disease challenges. So you get every crop has their specific pests and diseases
Yeah.
which attack them. So basically trying to prevent firstly. However, when if the preventative measures don't work, then you need to be ready with control measures. So those are the main challenges: pests and disease. And sometimes you also get climatic challenges, such as hail, which could destroy
Yeah.
your
Your
crops,
infrastructure as well.
your infrastructures, especially if you have shade net structures.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, how did you manage to sort of tackle these obstacles or challenges?
Just by having a clear pest and disease program with your different pesticides which you have, and just keep staying on the ball, keep scouting your fields. And
So it's
Yeah.
basically you just need to be on top of your game.
be on
in
top
other
of your
words.
game, yes. Especially your employees
Okay.
should know what they're doing.
Okay, great. Well, this chicken is making me a bit dizzy. I need to eat it soon. So what is the next step after you've put
So
on
now-
your sauteed chicken?
We add some of our red cabbage, which is also very sweet, just to
Okay.
break
I've
the
never had red cabbage before, so let's
very
see.
crunchy, and it adds that crunch to the wrap,
Okay.
and it adds aesthetic as well. And then some cucumber for
Aesthetically pleasing.
yes, just some cucumber for freshness. This is a very healthy wrap.
I can see that this
Very
is really
healthy
a
wrap.
healthy wrap.
And then we put on some of our garlic sauce.
Okay. You can never go wrong with garlic in any form.
Okay. Oop. Just
I like the fact that there's so much sauce on it. Like you said in the beginning, chicken breast is known for being a little dry.
Yes,
So
yes.
the sauce kind of just complements that and brings everything together.
And now, this is optional. Cheese is optional if you're health conscious.
Okay.
And you're watching your figure.
Okay.
Then cheese is optional. But I like cheese.
Of course,
So,
who would say no to cheese if it wasn't
and the
optional?
garlic sauce acts like a nice binder for the cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And then just a garnish of
Parsley,
parsley. Yes.
also very aesthetically pleasing.
Okay. So when we close our wrap, there's a technique
Okay,
which I won't say I
that
Figured
you
it
use
out.
regularly. Let's say
But
you
yeah.
use it regularly.
Yeah. So first you fold it about 2/3 of the way. It's better to turn your plate.
Okay.
2/3 of the way. And then you flip it over and try and get it over, all the way over,
Oh, it's already falling apart a little bit.
all the way over. And then you tuck it underneath what is ever underneath it. And then you fold it closed.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
Did
it's coming something like this.
Yeah, so what we do now, the wraps are still a bit on the coldish side, so they are a bit cracking. But yeah, we're basically finished with our
Okay,
wrap.
so for this next step, me and Owen are going to go behind screen and we're just going to fry this a little bit in the pan. So when we're back, we get to taste this delicious wrap and I will give you my honest opinion. But don't go anywhere, we will be right back.
My Zone presents a forever memory. Your Schools 2024. Matric Farewell. All entrances filmed. 360 machine. Photographs. Book your packages now via all MyZone socials or email at michaela@myzone.com.na.
So we're at my favorite part of every episode, and that's where we get to taste what we've been up to. So before we do get to taste them, can you tell the viewers what we did after compiling it? What we did with the wrap?
Okay, so basically after just compiling the wrap and rolling it over, I just fried them a little bit in the pan just to give a little bit of crunch on the and on the crust and create a little bit of crust, and just to melt the cheese a little bit.
Okay, well, are you ready for the moment of truth where we get to see if me and you actually can make a chicken wrap?
Yes, let's go
Okay,
for it.
let us go in, guys. Look at that. A healthy chicken wrap. I am very messy at eating wraps. So things always just fall out at the other end. But let's see if that's the case now. I like this. Ooh, this is why I don't eat on camera, because it's always messy, and my viewers know this, that I always save it for when the camera is off, where I dig in. But I have to say, this is a very delicious wrap. So Owen, I just need to find out, where did this love for agriculture come from? Is this something that young Owen was always just on the farm with his parents? Just tell us a little bit more how this passion grew.
Yeah, it started from a very young age. Since I can remember, I've always liked the farm. I always went to visit my grandmother them on their farm in South Africa. And to this day, she still makes references and jokes about our time when I was on the farm with them as a young boy.
Because it was pretty clear to the whole family that this is something that you love.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, what is the first ever thing, whether, regardless if it's just a flower or a plant or a vegetable, what's the first thing you've ever planted that actually came out the way you wanted, that made you feel so proud?
You know what? I only discovered my
Green fingers.
my green fingers at an older age. So when I was younger, I was more into the livestock part of things. So I can't really even remember what I first planted. I think it was lemon seed.
Okay.
You know, when you put it in a napkin and you fold it.
Yeah, that
and-
experiments we used to do for like in science classes, natural
yeah.
science.
And then the seed germinates in the napkin, and then you plant that into the soil. That's the first thing that I planted.
Okay, I think we all experimented with the cotton and the water.
Yes,
With
exactly.
it was either apple seeds or tomato seeds, but I think everyone tried to experiment.
Yes,
but
yes,
only
exactly that.
those with green fingers, of course, were able to do it. I know my beans never grew. Like I forgot about them and they just died. But that's why we have people like you in Namibia to do this for us. So we know that the agricultural sector, whether it's agriculture with livestock or horticulture with, the growing of our vegetables or fruits, plants, we know that it's an industry that is growing rapidly in Namibia.
Yes.
And a lot of young people do venture into it a lot nowadays. But like we said, you have that educational background to support yourself. You have that experience. What advice can you give to our young Namibians out there who may have the passion for it, but they're not quite sure how to go about it, how to make a living out of this?
Okay, so I'll try and give practical advice.
Yes, please.
So my advice to anyone, that especially somebody that wants to start but doesn't have the capital to start, look into the government subsidies, because there are government programs that try and help the beginner farmer.
Yeah.
There is a horticulture government subsidy. You can go to your closest agricultural extension office. There's also one for poultry, especially now in times of drought.
Yeah.
There's also drought relief programs where the government gives subsidies on seeds, fertilizers, pesticides. So try and make use of those government subsidies to make it lighter on your pocket,
Okay, especially if you're a beginner, like
especially
you
if
said.
you're in a beginner farm, because to get into farming is expensive.
Okay, yeah, and it's like you also mentioned, there's a lot of external factors that do affect your operations.
Yes.
Okay, so for those that want to take that extra step and getting the education to do it, because farming isn't necessarily something that you need the tertiary experience with, but it does benefit you in so many ways. What are some of the benefits that you can highlight with your educational background that actually helped you in your day-to-day operations?
Okay, so especially when it comes to pest and disease management, that's where I would say that tertiary education really helps. Because with the identification of signs and symptoms of your pests and diseases, that's where you actually learn. And having that knowledge before you actually start really helps, because if you don't have that knowledge and you experience it in the field, it's a very costly thing to learn hands-on.
So it's basically to try and avoid the trial and error as much as you
Yes,
can.
yes.
So it's like backup. You can
Yes,
say that.
yes.
So Owen, I am starving and I really want to dig into this wrap. But before we do go, for our viewers out there who maybe want to reach out to you, maybe to collaborate or to ask for advice, or who knows, maybe they want to buy some of your products from Platsan Produce, where can they reach out to you?
Okay, so they can reach out to me on either on my personal Instagram page, which is the handle is just_Owen, or you can type in Owen van Roy, or on my Platsan Produce Instagram page, which is Platsan_Produce. I also have an email address, platsanproduce.451@gmail.com.
Okay, great. I'm sure that there will be a few viewers reaching out to you just to either get draw some inspiration, or who knows, collaborations in the future. Well, Owen, thank you so much for being in the kitchen with us and sharing your journey with us, and of course making these delicious wraps. I think it's time for us to say bye to our viewers so we can finish up these wraps. But once again, from the host of What's Cooking, thank you for being in the kitchen today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, viewers, there you have it. It's time for us to dig into these wraps. And that's a wrap, a chicken wrap, if I have to say. Well, that was so delicious, and I learned so much about the agricultural industry. I hope you guys did as well. So thank you to our guest, Owen van Roy, for stepping into the kitchen and showing us how to cook it up while talking about his life as a crop farmer. But don't go anywhere. You guys know that we're here every Sunday at 7:30 on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25. And don't forget that we also have Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So stay up to date with all your cooking do's and don'ts. But as for now, it's goodbye from your host, Patricia Kutsia.